And go ahead.
We're ready? Okay, so everybody, welcome. Friday, 11:30. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for it's going to take Mitch about 45 minutes, and then we're going to hold a quick little Q&A. So any questions that you have, just jot them down, or you can even type them into the chat box that's at the bottom of the screen. Any questions that you have as he's going along, and we'll get to them at the end. Does that sound good with you, Mitch, as
Yep,
well?
that's fine.
Is that how you prefer to do it? So wonderful. So Mitch Ribak is a dear friend, colleague, wildly successful real estate broker, owner of Tropical Realty in Melbourne, Florida. And we are very privileged to be able to hear him share his story about why he moved his extraordinarily successful independent brokerage to EXP. What is it, about 18 months ago, Mitch?
Yep, 19, close enough.
Yeah, 19 months. Mitch has a beautiful wife. We got to become friends because of EXP, and I'm really thankful, and we're all privileged to have him share about 45 minutes of why he moved his brokerage and why you should, take a very hard look at this very disruptive real estate model that is frankly taking this country and Canada by storm. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mitch.
All right, thanks, Cheyanne. Appreciate it. Morning, everybody. I guess on my thing I wrote 11:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., but yeah, that's not going to happen. So, anyways, I want to thank you for coming aboard. I'm going to just basically tell you a little bit about why I came over and why I didn't keep an open mind at the beginning, how that cost me a lot of money. And then we'll just kind of talk a little bit about EXP and the benefits of EXP as we go through. Basically, anyways, back in 2016, I went to sell my brokerage, Tropical Realty. We had about 120 agents, 115 to 120 agents, and went through most of the negotiations, and everything was good until we got to the final terms, which were my first payment, my first year was a little bit, my second payment, my second year was a little bit, and my final payment was going to be determined on the amount of agents that I originally came over with and retained. So, for instance, if 50% of my agents decided they didn't like the big box that was buying us, it was one of the franchises, then my sales price would have been cut in half. And that was a no-go for me. So I had been researching EXP at that time for about a year and a half, and I loved the model, but there was a lot involved as a broker, of a big company doing 700 transactions a year and $4.5 million in revenues. I had an ego, and I just wasn't even open to it at the time. But I paid attention, but I wasn't open. So when I couldn't sell the company, I said, all right, I got to do something about this. And I called up Jason Gessing, who was the CEO at the time, and asked him if I could meet him in New York at Inman. And we hung out, and one of the biggest roadblocks for me is my brand that I spent 14 years developing, and Tropical Realty is a big brand here in Brevard County, Florida. And so finally he said, well, you can keep your brand. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? He said, you can keep your brand, just be Tropical Realty Beachside, brokered by EXP Realty. And that was a game changer for me. It's a game changer for a lot of teams that have come over now because they keep their name. So that's what we are. Now we're Tropical Realty Beachside, brokered by EXP Realty. Before I could make that switch, though, I had to have a conversation with my wife, which is the hardest one. And then I had to have a conversation with my agents. So my wife first, we talked, and I said, look, here's the deal. And she's like, we're finally making money. Why are you going to give the company away? And I said, here's the deal. If it does what I think it's going to do and I don't do anything, it'll be one of the biggest regrets of my life. If I do what I think it's going to do, if I join and it does what I think it's going to do, then this will probably be the best business move I've ever made and will be retired within 3 years. I also told her that if for some reason we're not happy in 6 months, I'll just switch back to Tropical Realty, make my $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. So it wasn't a bad deal. And my wife trusts me, luckily, and she said, go for it. So then I met with my agents, and I took 34 of my, at the time, 65 agents, because I got rid of all of my newer agents. And the 34 agents did 92% of my business. And we had a conversation about EXP and what it would mean to them, and I did the best I could with regards to explaining it at the time, and they all bought in. They said yes, let's do it. So on June 1st of 2017, we moved our entire brokerage over. At the time, we had 40 agents. I had again let go of agents that weren't producing for me because it was just the amount of time they were taking from me was killing me. And that was June 1st, 2017. Today, we have about 370 agents in 23 or 24 states, and we're continuing to grow by 30 plus agents every month. Definitely the best business move I've ever done, and my wife is very happy, which is all that I care about. So that's why we joined and how we joined. So when I'm talking to people about these and explaining EXP to people, I always tell you to keep an open mind. I loved running Tropical Realty. I love being the guy. But ultimately, for my agents especially, and for my family, EXP was a much better opportunity for us to grow forward. And I lost a lot of money. I'd probably be at about 3,000 agents right now if I had done it 2 years earlier than I did it. So with that, we'll go through. Company was founded about 9 years ago from Glenn Sanford. Glenn's a pretty impressive man. Ran a pretty large team, about $60 million a year in real estate, mostly internet marketing, which is why him and I get along so well. I do the same thing. And he worked for KW and thought there'd be a better way. He didn't like the whole profit share thing. He thought, getting money off the top versus off the bottom would be a better gig. And so he also realized that very few agents anymore come to the office. And I can tell you right now, I am sitting in a 3,600 square foot office space that I still have a lease on till the end of the year. And at any given moment, there are 2 people in here. It's usually myself and my assistant. And I have 120 local agents now. And so literally nobody comes to the offices anymore. We have 2 offices and nobody comes in. So he realized that, and he decided to create a cloud-based brokerage. And that's where we are today. So I'm going to take you through some of the benefits of our company. First of all, it's all about innovation. It's always happening. If you look at Netflix and Blockbuster, it's one of my favorite stories. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million, and they said it'll never work. Who's laughing now, right? Netflix is worth about $50 billion now, and there are 14 Blockbusters from what I understand, and they're all sitting in Alaska. And I'm not sure why they're in Alaska. Maybe there's an internet problem there. They can't get streaming yet. I can't believe that would be true, but they are still alive and kicking with 14 of them in Alaska. At least that's the last I heard. Look what Amazon has done to retail. Not just Circuit City, but all retail. How many of you go out and buy most of your stuff on Amazon now? I know I do almost everything. My wife loves it because my credit card's in there and she's constantly in there buying stuff. We always have packages. In fact, my Ring doorbell just alerted me that somebody was delivering a package to my house just now, so I'm sure we have something new. And we are like that to traditional brokerages. We are changing the whole way it works. I'll tell you one of the things that's really cool, and I'll try to do this as an audio versus a visual because I can't do it as a visual, but it's very interesting, is most of at least your franchises, they start with an international, they're an international company, and out of that they have regions. And below the regions, they have franchise owners, and those are the people, the owners. And then the franchise owners hire managers and team leaders, etc. And then behind them are all the agents that they recruit. And they also have recruiters, hire full-time recruiters that do the recruiting. What Glenn's vision was all that money that's paid to all that top end, the international, the regional, the franchises, team leaders, the recruiters, and all that, he instead made the agents number one. He got rid of all that overhead. And he now, and now the agents get really 50% of the revenue that we bring in for EXP goes to the agents. So we've cut out, there is no desk fees. You can work from anywhere. I'll give you a quick story on that. I was in Ireland last year, and I've got several agents in San Diego. And so I was having meetings with them when they first came on board in our EXP world, which I can't do a demo for you online here as we're doing these things, but ask whoever asked you to come to the event today to do a demo of the world with you. But we were able to have a whole meeting inside the EXP workspace in World. It's phenomenal. Again, we cut all the overhead of bricks and mortars. Think about that. We're in 400 MLSs right now. And that means if we were a company, we would have to have 400 offices, 400 admin people, 400 everybody, right? And we don't. We have everybody works in our EXP world. We have about 400 employees, but they're all working out of their homes all over the U.S. and Canada. And what that means by having less expenses, it means we can invest more money in support and technology. We've recently bought Verbella, which is the company that developed our EXP world for us. We also bought a company called Show Me Now, which is a great app that we're rolling out right now throughout the country for getting more people to answer your listing calls. Great stuff. It's a great app. And we continue to grow our training, and our support is second to none. We also have some great tools. One of our favorites is KV Core, and I'll give you an interesting stat. Generally in a company, you have about 20-25%, sometimes 30% buy-in on who uses the tools. Our KV Core is used by 50% of our agents. I just heard that number yesterday. 50%, actually it's 48% is the real number. 48% of our agents are using KV Core. That's our website that we provide all of our agents to use. It's one of the best CRMs that I've seen. My background is internet lead generation, lead conversion, and I've been building and working with CRMs for a lot of years now. And this is one of the best ones I've seen. You can text from it. You can create, obviously, emails and listing alerts from it. You can do squeeze pages, landing pages. You can do all sorts of stuff with it that most CRMs can't do. So everybody gets that for part of their monthly fee, which we'll go over in a little bit. The training has been incredible, and we're about to bump this up even more. Right now, we're doing about 40 to 50 hours a week of live training. I read in a report the other day that's going to bump up to about 80 hours a week of live training, and it's everything about everything. So listings and sales and lead gen, lead conversion, video marketing, social media, how to use our tools, everything, how to introduce people to the company. Everything you could possibly think of is there, and all of it is archived. And one of the best things about the training is a lot of it's done by agents. It's not, I mean, we have our staff too that trains, but we have a lot of our stuff that's done by agents. For instance, I've gone in there and taught lead conversion classes. I'm getting ready to teach another class in there called Kick It Up a Notch. There's some great tools, great teachers in there, and they're just people out there selling houses like you and I. This is what the world looks like. And again, I can't take you into a live demo on a webinar. It just doesn't work well. But inside there, everybody has an avatar, which as an older guy, I'm 58 years old, it was kind of really strange for me to do an avatar. I felt like calling my grandkids to have them help me. But I'll tell you when I got sold on this, and I'll tell you a little more about it afterwards. I walked in one day, I was having a problem with my computer, and I walked into the tech department with my avatar. It's the first time I actually used it. I mean, I'd walked around, but it was the first time I used it. And I started having this trouble with my computer. They had me click on a link. They took over my computer, and within 2 minutes, they fixed it, and I was on my way. Now, the reality is, in my office, I would have had to call my tech guy. My tech guy would have had to come to my office and probably charge me $100, to show up, and whatever it cost to fix the computer, which obviously took less than 2 minutes. So I saved that right away just from that. And that's when I fell in love with this. Now we bring customers in here to do to show MLS listings in some of the meeting rooms. We have all sorts of classes in here. There's all sorts of collaboration. You'll hear that a lot because we can get in there and collaborate with people from all over the world, all over the U.S. and Canada right now. As we expand around the world, it'll be more. But this gives us the opportunity to all go into a centralized place and go into classrooms, and honestly, it's speaking in there was a little weird at first because I feed off crowds when I speak. I try to be funny. Most people tell me I'm not, but I think I'm funny. And going in there and talking to a bunch of advertisers is really tough to make funny. But of course, once I realized what I was doing, I realized I could make that funny. But anyways, very cool place. You can log into here anywhere in the world that you have an internet connection, and you can go into meetings anytime you want. One of the coolest things about EXP is we are public. Our symbol is EXPI. Take a look at it. And we run around, $9, $10 a share right now, sometimes 11. And sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It doesn't really matter where it goes because it's our stock and we own part of the company. And you earn shares in multiple ways. I'll talk about them real quick. Firstly, you earn shares on your first transaction every year, which is great. If you introduce somebody to the company, and again, remember, we don't have recruiters, so if you introduce people to the company, we'd rather pay you. We pay you, you get shares on their first transaction, excuse me. And if you cap, and our cap is $16,000, then you earn more stock. So those are 3 ways of earning stock. We'll skip down to the bottom one real quick. The other program we have is you can take 5% of your commissions and you can buy stock at a 20% discount. So what does that mean to you? I'll give you 2 examples. Firstly, it's a forced savings account. You don't miss 5% ever on a paycheck. But I talked to one of my agents the other day. So after 19 months, she has 5,000 shares of stock. So she's got $50,000 in stock sitting there. She would not have saved $50,000 in the last 18 months. I can guarantee you that. Also, we had one of my agents came to me recently in financial dire straits because they didn't work too hard in November, December. So January, no closings, February, no closings, and they couldn't pay their mortgage. And I said, "Did you do the stock program?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "How many shares do you have from last year?" He says, "Well, I got 1,200. I go, "Well, then sell them." I go, "So you can use this as an emergency fund." And he made like $13,000 that day. "You can use it as an emergency fund or a forced savings." I use it as a forced savings account. I love it. And then finally, you can earn more stock by becoming an icon agent. And an icon agent is an agent that caps the $16,000 paid to EXP and then sells 20 more properties. Right? So you cap plus 20. And if you do that, they're going to give you 12,000 shares of stock right away. And then if you attend the shareholders meeting, they'll give you 2,000 more shares. And if you attend our conference, I'm not sure where that is. I think it's in Vegas this year coming up. You get 2,000 more shares. So you get a total of 16,000 shares by becoming an icon agent. So for some of you that are high producers, this is a no-brainer. You're basically working at 100%. So that's how you get equity in our company. And of course, you can always buy it on NASDAQ if you want. We are built on a revenue share program, which basically means that if you introduce people to the company, they're going to give you referral fees based on their sales. So firstly, in the first level, they call it tier 1, you're going to earn 3.5% commission on right away from sales from your agents that you introduce up to $2,800 a year. And you're going to get that every single year. So if you're with the company and they're with the company, every year you'll earn up to $2,800. And if they introduce people to the company, you're going to earn up to $3,200. And I'm going to explain a couple things on this that are really cool. So I'm going to simplify it because that's why I like to do things simple, because I'm simple. If you introduce just 2 people a year to the company, and you can do that, right? Everybody can do 2 people a year, which is nothing. And those people just introduced, and that was over 3 years, and those people just introduced just 1 person in those 3 years, which again is nothing. That would be up to $36,000 in referral fees to you every year, as long as you're with the company and they're with the company. And the more you grow that, the more money you make. I'm going to give you a quick story on that because I love this story. It's one of my agents, Katie, came to me in 2017, January, so we hadn't switched yet. And she didn't know what to do because her daughter was graduating college the next year, graduating high school the next year, and going to college in September 2018. Excuse me. And she said, "I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to pay for college. I'm a single mom, blah, 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 blah." And the only answer I had to her at the time was sell more homes. What else could I tell her? Just sell more homes. When we made the switch in June of 2017, I said, "Katie, here's your opportunity." And she took that seriously. So fast forward 18 months. Katie has 5 people directly under her that she introduced, but one of those happens to be a team of 8, or maybe even be 10 now. And her revenue share this year, her referral fees that she's going to get, is going to be around $25,000. And that $25,000 is going to pay for college for her daughter. When Glenn started for this company, that was his vision. His vision was to give our agents an opportunity to create some sort of residual income, whether in stock, whether it be for retirement purposes or sending kids to college or whatever it is. I mean, imagine if you generated an extra $3,000 a month that you didn't have to do anything for, that it just came to you every month. So your mortgage is paid, your car is paid, unless you live in San Diego, your mortgage is like $80,000 a month. But my point is how much pressure does that take off you if you're earning a few $1,000s, $2,000 or $3,000 a month? For most agents, at least most agents that I know and coached around the country, that's a game changer. That's a life changer. That was one of the reasons that I made the switch for the company, because I knew for my agents, I have lots of Katies, and I wanted to help them have an opportunity to generate more revenue. By far, the best thing I've ever seen in my life, by far. One of the cool things about the company, I keep saying the word cool. I must be from the 70s, right? Yeah. Um, anyways, is collaboration. So you can go into the EXP world pretty much any time and start talking to people, and they could be from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, pretty much. And you could discuss how you generate business, how they generate business. We do a thing called iConversations every Friday. And in that conversation, we have the people who have become icon agents get on the stage and share exactly how they sold that many homes and became that successful. And again, because we all own part of the company with our stock, everybody shares, everybody collaborates. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. We all help each other. And again, there's things online every day. You build great friends. Referrals I've received in the past month, I've gotten 4 referrals so far from my area here, just from our EXP agents all over the country. We have lots of solutions, and they're all great. EXP Enterprise is where we access all of them. So Enterprise holds where we log into our branding sites. We have a whole marketing site for you to go on to do high-end marketing and brochures and postcards and all that stuff. Facebook posts, things like that. You can log into SkySlope, which is our transaction management program. You can log into your website from there, your KV Core website. We have a thing called Workplace by Facebook. It's an amazing thing. You go in there and you post a question, and usually within minutes you'll have multiple responses to your questions. So the support is amazing, both online but also on this Workplace by Facebook. It's a private community by Facebook, and I believe, at least we were, I don't know if we still are, the largest company, the largest amount of users in the world using that platform. So we have tons of solutions to grow your business. Again, we have a Make It Rain program, which will help generate leads to your KV Core website if you choose to do that. That is a paid service. Again, all sorts of great tools for you to use. One of the funnest things to watch over the last 18, 19 months is how much we're being talked about everywhere. Some of the companies are talking bad about us because they're trying to get their agents to stop coming over. But I will tell you, there's a reason why some of the top teams and agents from KW, Remax, Caldwell Banker, they're all coming. I mean, most of the top teams are coming over right now. It's amazing the numbers that are coming. I mean, we were a $140 million team or brokerage with 700 transactions, and we moved over. There's been several teams that are doing over 150, $200 million that have come over now. We just had a big team in, I believe, 300 agents in South Florida just joined brokerage. So everybody's talking about us, and it's just fun to watch, fun to be part of something bigger than me. So let's talk about the cash for some reason for some minutes now, because I know that's important to everybody and how you get paid and how that works. One of the things I like about the company, and I think my agents probably do too, and by the way, I told my agents, I don't know if I said this earlier, that if we want to go back to Tropical in 6 months, we can. And when I approached that to them, they all said no. They all really loved what we're doing. And in that amount of time, they're all still with me. All those agents are all still with me after 19 months. Trust me, if they didn't like the company, they don't stay loyal, right? They all go on and do their own thing. So when I had Tropical Realty, we had multiple commission structures. One, if you're productive and I liked you. One, if you were productive and I didn't like you. One, if you weren't productive and I liked you, vice versa. With us, everybody in the company is on the exact same split, all the way from the CEO to the average agent. It's an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. And after you cap for the remainder of the year, you'll earn 100% commission. The only difference is your monthly fee will go up. Your transaction fee will go up $250 per transaction when you go to 100%, but you're at 100%. So what's an extra $250? I'll pay $250 all day long for a 100% split. The setup fees are $149. That includes your first month tech fee. It includes your business cards, I believe some folders, the setup of your website, all that stuff for $150, $149. Your monthly fee is $50 for tech and $35 for education. Again, everybody pays this, so we all chip in to help make our agents better agents. And so your total monthly fees are $85 a month, pretty inexpensive for what we did. If it was $85 a month just for the tech stuff, it'd be a great number, but it's $85 a month for all the education we give plus the tech stuff. Your transaction fees are $25 broker review and $40 E&O. So $65 per transaction is your transaction fee. And again, that goes to $315, I believe that number is. And if you if you hit 100%. Your risk management, your E&O fee does cap at $500, which I believe is 17 transactions. So once you get past 17 transactions, that $40 per transaction goes away. Let's see. I think that's about it on that. Growth. We are over 17,000, very quickly approaching 18,000 agents. We're adding about 1,000 agents a month right now. And we're in 50 states and 3 Canadian provinces, soon to be 4 Canadian provinces. We are about to grow into, I'm not allowed to mention the names yet, but a country in Europe and a country in South America. Very exciting with the growth that's going on. Just so happy to be a part of it. But, I'm not sure how people understand, but if you look at the numbers here, and I don't know that this is going to translate on this, but if you think of this like a growth curve for business, all the heavy hitting was done from 2009 to really 2000 now. We're really from a growth curve. We're right around here right now. I know our numbers are up here. This is where we are now. But if you're looking at a growth curve, don't look at the dates. This is kind of where we are right now. We are just about ready to take off. And if you've ever looked for a good opportunity in your life, this is the opportunity of your life. Core values we'll talk about for a couple of seconds. One, fun. Gene Frederick coined the phrase making real estate fun again. I can tell you that as much as I like being the guy and being the broker of Tropical Realty, it wasn't very fun. It was very, very painstaking, actually. It was very tough business to run because I can't control agents. I can't make them successful. I've made tons of agents around the country successful, U.S. and Canada, but making agents successful in your brokerage is very difficult because they don't have to listen to you. We're all about our community. We have great community people. We do a lot in our community here, as does a lot of our agents all over the country. But we also help each other. One of the cool things that we do, and I'll tell you this quick story, was we had a pretty good sized hurricane here about 2 years ago, not as bad as the one they had in the Panhandle this past year. And one of our agents had a lot of damage, but EXP called every single agent in our area to make sure they were okay. One of our agents had about $40,000 worth of damage. He had a tree fall through his roof, and he told him that, but didn't ask for anything. And the next morning, the EXP had wired $2,500 to his bank account. I think that's pretty darn cool. I know as a broker, I never did that for my agents. I mean, I love my agents, but I never gave them money after we had hurricanes. I was more worried about myself. We are very agile, meaning I'm part of an influencer group, so we're part of the influencers in the company, and we meet once a quarter with management in Glen Sanford. And we met late January, mid-January, and we came with some changes that we needed to make. And this is the cool thing. They ask us, the agents, what do we need to fix? What's not working the way we want it to work? So we came up with a few things that had to be fixed, and by March 1st, they were all fixed. We're constantly innovating. We're constantly reinventing everything and making it better and better. But one of the coolest things also is integrity. I have not met so many agents that are awesome in the 18 years that I've been selling real estate. And I've been teaching all over North America since 2000 and I want to say 6 or 7 or 8, I forget. And the integrity is so awesome. And people call me all the time that have no financial benefit for me. And they'll bring on a broker because I was a big broker that moved. And they'll bring in a broker for me to ask questions. And I can't tell you how many times the broker has asked me if they could join with me instead of the person that introduced them. I'm absolutely not. That's not how our company works. We don't steal people from people. We just help people. And that's part of our integrity. It's part of our community. It's part of our service. So anyways, that's the part of our collaboration, our transparency. So that's a little bit about our core values. Very, very awesome stuff. I'm going to give you a real quick my why. And when I talk to people, I always encourage you to figure out, and by the way, this has nothing to do with EXP. This is just about motivation to build your business. And again, I train a lot of people. I have multiple coaching sessions going on right now. And to be successful in anything, you have to have a why. Now, for years, my why was providing a better thing for my kids, buying myself a better car, taking my wife on a nice vacation. Sometimes I have short-term whys, sometimes I have long-term whys. Well, 13 years ago next week, my granddaughter Lola was born. That's her, with her seizure dog, Bella. Lola was born with a very rare disease, and it changed our lives. It changed my why dramatically. So everything that I do in my life right now is because of her. And so I really encourage you to think about what's your why. Because if you don't have your why, it becomes very hard to become self-disciplined and successful in real estate. Um, I know all you guys are on Cheyenne's page there, and that's an accountability thing, right? You show up there, it helps you keep you accountable. Whatever it is that can help you accomplish your goals is so important. Whenever I get a little stressed out, because at 50 years old, I didn't think I'd be working this many hours that I work. I look at my beautiful granddaughter here. I melt, because how can you not melt? Look at her; she's awesome. And then I put my nose back down to the grind and accomplish my goals that I have to accomplish. So we're going to end this on this, and I'll open it up to any questions. Um, just for yourself, think about, I don't know how long you've been in the business, but what changes from this year to next year? If you're like any one of my agents, every year you're chasing the buck. Every year you are trying to figure out how to get more business. I mean, that's what everybody does. It's the same thing every year. Now for people like Katie, people like myself, Katie's not worried about that now. She's not worried about how she's going to pay for college, and she's only growing and growing. I talked to her the other day. She said her checks keep getting bigger and bigger. What does your retirement look like? What's your exit strategy? How do you get out of this business? Right? How do you get out? And that's, again, when I looked at my agents after my deal fell apart to sell the company, what were they going to get if I sold the company? So you work for a broker right now, right? If he sells the company, what do you get? You get nothing. I kind of felt guilty after that because I love my agents. They're all family to me. They all help support my granddaughter and our fundraising stuff that we do. And so when I was deciding whether to make this move or not, I really looked at my agents and said, what can I do to help them create some sort of wealth that is not dependent on them selling houses? Because at some point, they're all going to want to retire, including myself. So don't let another opportunity pass you by. You don't get that many opportunities. This is the best opportunity. And I can tell you, after being self-employed for 38 years, unbelievable, that I've waited for the right opportunity my whole life, and I've never seen one. This is it. Okay, I got a question here on the profit sharing. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, it's not profit sharing, though, it's revenue share. And just so you understand the difference between profit share and revenue share, let me explain that real quick. Profit share is a bottom line expense. So when you get profit share, that means that you, after everybody else gets paid, whatever's left over gets usually split between the company and the agents. So one of the other franchises here that does profit share, KW, everybody knows who KW is. So KW offered me a large amount of money to switch to them instead of going to EXP. But when I looked at their numbers, they had their profit was minimal, and the amount of money that my agents could make off of the profit share compared to the revenue share was just no comparison. So I don't know how the network marketing part, that's the network marketing model is what that's built on. I don't know how that works, but I'll tell you that it's 2,800 for the first one, 3,200 for the second one, 2,000 for the third level, fourth level is 1,200, fifth level is 800, sixth level is 2,000, seventh level is $4,000. The max you can make on each of those levels. There's a science behind all that. I'm just not exactly sure what that science is because I'm not a network marketing guy, but I can tell you it works great though. What else? Any other questions? Okay, another question. So the question says, I heard you only get paid if people cap. Yes, that's a misnomer that goes out there. Some of our competitors are saying, so you get paid 3.5% from day one. So if you bring on somebody today and introduce somebody today to the company, and they have a sale tomorrow, and it closes this month or it closes next month. On the following month of the closing, on the 22nd of every month, which is my favorite day of the month, you will get your revenue share check. And the revenue share check is your referral fees. So that check you would get is from day one. You'll get you'll get 3.5% on that first level of people until they cap, which equals $2,800. One more question. Any other questions? Cheyanne, any questions from you? Nope. All right. Well, okay, Cheyanne. You're breaking up there, kiddo. Yeah, I don't think it's working well for her. Anyways, please reach out to Cheyanne or myself. I'm glad to help too. If you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thanks everybody for coming. And oh, wait, I got another question just came in. How do you get brick and mortar brokers to overcome fear of the cloud? That is an awesome question. Um, it is not perfect for every broker. Um, it's great for realtors. Uh, and maybe you're talking about the same thing. I always ask people, how often do you go to the office? And again, so I'll give you an example of that. Um, I had 5,000 square feet was my other office up until March of 2017, and I sat there for the last 3 months of 2016 and counted every agent that came in. Again, I had 120 agents at the time, same as I do now, and literally 1 to 2 agents would stop in a day, and it was usually to drop off a check or print something out. I can tell you now, I'm in this office where I'm at now with 3,600 square feet with 120 agents, if not more, in this area. And on any given month, I might get 1 or 2 people to stop in. I literally don't get anybody coming in during the day, during the week. Literally nobody comes in here anymore. So from an agent standpoint, that's the question I ask. Now, occasionally somebody will say, they do go to the office a lot. And if they do, that's great. Then they can always go to our Regis, Regis is a shared office space places. You can use their lounges to meet people at, or you can go there to work in the lounge areas. Or those places are really inexpensive to rent. I mean, I rented one in Orlando for a project I was working on, and it cost me $240 a month. So if you really, really need a space, with the amount of money you can make in extra in your revenue share, you can easily afford a space. Most of the brokers that have come over and teams that have come over do have office space, but it's up to them. I have it. I'll always have it because I like a place to work personally. But I am working out of the house more often than not these days. I do a lot more than I used to because I've become more disciplined. But the reality is most agents work out of their houses. Very few go to the office if it's just for a few minutes. And by the way, they're actually more productive working out of their houses for most people because they're not doing all the chit chat that used to go on in my office when everybody came to the office. I mean, when I had all my agents and before home offices became so popular and wireless became so popular, my agents were in the office all the time. I'd have 30, 40 agents a day in the office. But those agents, they were never working. Well, I can't say never, but they were always talking and chatting and laughing, and which is great, have fun, but it's not conducive to making a lot of money. So, all right, any other questions? Thank you so much for coming in today. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Cheyanne, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care and have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.